Welcome to the Talking Diaries podcast featuring Dr. Louis Koster with John Kremer. In my day to day existence, most of what I experience is what I would call the storm of thinking. It just thinks that, you know, it's just one thought after another. And even if I somehow allow the totality of one thought to just come up and be aware of it, another dang thought follows it right away. So I know you're not saying, well, push all those dang thoughts out because that doesn't do any good. Um, but I guess when you allow the totality of a thought to arise, um, that means that the entire storm of thoughts can arise.
Well, yeah,
And then you just go, oh, it's just a thought.
you see this idea that if you were to allow for it, that then you get more of it, is just the mind speaking. And so, what happens in reality, and you can only find this out through your own experience. And so, it requires that is an act of courage because it is so counterintuitive that when you have the courage to allow for the totality of what is happening in your consciousness or what is arising as your thoughts, so to speak, that inevitably it leads you to a place where you become aware of being conscious. That is what makes all the difference because it is the engagement with the thinking that keeps it going. And that is interrupted when you allow for it. You are no longer engaging with all these thoughts, or when there is a thought that is arising, you are then no longer giving that your attention.
In some ways, I can experience what you're talking about better in observing, say, my wife. Like, we've had some big wildfires around here. And
Yes.
my wife's first thought is, oh, the wildfire's going to get bigger and closer. And for me, that's not relevant. It's sort of like I see the wildfire and I sort of, uh, I guess, allow for the totality of what arises. For me, it's just a wildfire, and
Yeah.
it's sort of like a thought that's no longer a thought. But for my wife, it's everything,
Yeah.
and so in some way, I guess that's the way thought works inside each one of us. Um, there's one part of our mind that's sort of like my wife, and the thought gets bigger and bigger and closer, and it becomes more and more of a problem then. Um, but for me, in that case, I'm very easy for me to accept what arises in her and let it go, or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same pull on me, the same effect as it clearly does on her. But
Yes.
I guess in some ways, that's sort of what happens when you allow the totality of what arises to arise. Um, it doesn't have
Exactly.
the pull on you.
So while you were speaking, I got to realize in what you said is that when you allow for, so let's say the thinking that speculates on the bushfire or whatever it is, that when you allow for the totality of it, there will come a point that you stop taking the thinking for reality. And that is where's the freedom, is to realize that it was just a thought. And what is interesting is that people are better capable dealing with the problem when it is happening than when they have the thoughts about the problem, how to deal with it.
Okay, I get that.
So again, this has got all to do with the makeup of an illusion. So um, the freedom is found in the insight or in the awareness that whatever the thinking is telling you, that is not real. It is not reality.
But when you're in the midst of it and you're not allowing it to just arise, then it's very sticky and it seems so real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Not only sticky, it is stressful. It is for some people it can cause anxiety, um, and you're mobilized. You are not participating in life fully.
Thank you for listening to the Talking Diaries podcast featuring Dr. Louis Koster. For more information, check out louiskoster.com/talking diaries and subscribe to the Talking Diaries YouTube channel. Also, check out louiskoster.com/quiz and take the free quiz to discover more about yourself.